Hey, it's me, Kanati. So I have something very important to talk about. So on Series 11, Episode 1 of the Terrible Lizards podcast with Dr. David Hone and Izzy Lawrence, David Hone, a paleontologist, talks about the problem that he's having with his job and that it could be in jeopardy. Eventually. Well, I was going to continue and then my light fell and broke. Love that. That's great. Well, I put on the mic to make it sound a little bit more professional, but now you're going to have to deal with this version of me. So I hope that's okay. So as I was saying, David Hone here has a problem. The fact that people who do paleontological videos, TikToks, tweets, that kind of thing, and don't credit him are actually hurting his career.
Hell, Heron.
Yes, exactly. So I was looking for this stuff. So it's like, okay, we both know there's an awful lot of YouTubers and people like that out there doing psychons of various different forms, all the way up from kids who are often quite young kids who are just into dinosaurs, all the way up into like professional, like adult academics and psychomers, and even people working in museums and other universities and stuff like this, putting this stuff together. And what I rapidly found was, and you can see just from like thumbnails, or just like, you know, doing just hitting on the scroll bar button, just whizzing through a whole 2-hour video and seeing what images go past. Clearly, a very large amount of material had made it online that was directly linked to my research. And I can tell that because I'm watching my own graphics go past, my own figures from my paper, and occasionally my name would appear on screen.
But they're not citing their sources.
Bingo. At best, somewhere it said a new paper by Dave Hone and Pom spoken out loud, and then it might say, you know, picture from Hone and Pom. There was nothing but on screen, and in particular, nothing but in the footnotes or anywhere like that. So when I am trying to say, this guy talked for 2.5 hours about my paper and didn't mention the paper at any point, I would have to watch that video in order to demonstrate that, and then at the end of it, okay, I can say, you know, if it is, it is. But like, I cannot watch every YouTube video for the last 5 years mention spinosaurs, just at some point they mention my name and talk about something that might be my paper.
So our guy here is in a bit of a conundrum. We got YouTubers making 2-hour videos mentioning it in the video, but not sourcing that paper that the video is talking about. David Hone does a lot of good things for the paleontological community, and he is a paleontologist. It is literally his job to make sure that he is and he's a presenter, as you can see here. He is a presenter. He is somebody who is teaching us about the world of dinosaurs and behaviors and, you know, how they mated and what they look like. A lot of Tyrannosaur stuff, a lot of pterosaur stuff. And we are hurting his career by not sourcing his papers or any other paleontological paper that anybody puts out. You gotta cite your sources. Now, I do this as much as I can. Sometimes I forget, and I just quickly want to get the video out, especially on like short form content. The way that this video is set up is supposed to be short, but it's not gonna be. So long story short, to help our fellow paleontologists, paleo artists, or just people in general who are trying to get information out into the world, whether that be science, music, acting, whatever it may be, you gotta cite your sources. And I'm gonna kind of lean more towards the paleontological side because that is my forte. Some of the stuff that he mentions in that part of the podcast is stuff from his book, Uncovering Dinosaur Behavior. Like some of the charts and stuff like that were from this book, and people will steal it thinking that they can just use it and not source it. Which, by the way, that was the last of that book from where I got it from. So I feel a little special that I was able to find a book that I really, really wanted, and it was the last one. So I just want to throw that out. But when you're doing, or when you're reporting, I should say, when you're reporting news or anything new about paleontology, whether that be a bone or a coprolite or a trace fossil or something like that, you gotta cite where you got your information. And for the most part, again, I try my best to do that. I try to find the papers where they come from, especially if I'm trying to debunk somebody. I try and find any recent paper that I can find that could either help my argument or, help other people agree with what they're talking about, whether that be, T-Rex's arms, we don't really know what they're used for, yada, 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 that kind of thing. So I've already mentioned a couple of things that David Hone is in, the book and the podcast, and I will link both of those in this video. So you can go buy that book from the source. You can go listen to the podcast from the source. I'm not gonna just link it to Spotify and have you be like, look for it. I'm not gonna just link it to Barnes & Noble or like Amazon, the book. I'm gonna link you to the website that you get that book from specifically so you can support him. I know that was a lot. I put up that little button there to put 2 times fast so then you can speed through what I'm talking about, but it is extremely important for you all who are super into paleontology. Again, I'm focusing on paleontology because that is my forte. It works with any kind of art, any kind of journalism, anything like that. You have to cite your sources. That is what we learned in high school. That is what we learned in middle school. If you're going to write a paper, if you're going to, do anything when you use somebody else's work, you have to cite that. You have to let people know that you used somebody's work, but put it into your own words. He even did it in his own book. He has a whole section at the end of the book called references. And those references equate to 26 pages worth of references that he used. He found out that information using other people's papers, using his own papers, using books, using actual paleontological, like going out in the field and digging up dinosaur bones and figuring it out kind of stuff. And he put it at the back of the book. So when you're done reading the book, you're like, wait, that part right there, how do we know that? Well, he sourced it at the back of the book. So long story short, cite your references. Show us, link us to the information that you found. If you are reporting on Spinosaurus, where did you get your information? Don't just say it in the video, do both. Say it in the video and put it in the description, because for the most part, you have an unlimited character count in the description. So if you put it in the description, you got plenty of room to put in your links and your sources. Sometimes links can be pretty long, so just put them in there. So if people are interested, they can find it. I know some apps like TikTok and others, they don't exactly give you the option in the description to create a link, like an actual link you can use on your phone or on the computer to actually touch or click on and go to that specific source. So you're going to have to put it in there anyway, because at least with my phone, I can have the option to like put my tab into like a tab mode and then touch and highlight anything that's in there, like a description or something, either copy it, translate it, or put it into Google. You just highlight the link, the whole link, and you throw it into Google. Make sure the link is able to be copied. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So cite your sources. Show us where you got the information. Provide links. Mention paleontologists. Mention paleoartists. Mention everybody that has to do with the information that you gave us in your video. If you got a 2-hour-long video, let us know where all of your resources are from. Otherwise, it is hurting these guys' jobs and their careers that they've worked so hard on.